me just set this up. Okay. Just hold on a second. This is a nice. Yeah, this is a nice thing. So be right back. Okay. Okay, I'm back. So let's just minimize this. Okay, just 15-20 minutes before I was just going through the yesterday's code, and I wanted to clean up and just figured out that I don't need a publisher and a subscriber in this case. Yeah, obviously that would be the right thing. So when login button action creates a sign-in request to view model. So view model in turn asks the sign-in request to create sending the username and the password. So request will go here and it will fetch. This is like simple plain Swift. So if it's an invalid credential, if domain is not found, or bad server response, or success, so it just returns in a completion handler to the view model. So in this view model again we have a completion handler because I was not finding a way to present the alert using the publisher and subscriber way. So and binding works between parent and child views, so I tried doing that, but apparently from the documentation I found out from the parent and the child view, and one of the child view wants to update the parent or vice versa, so this happens. So binding is useful here, binding is not useful between view models and this one. So there was apparently some error between initializing the variable, so I tried adding similar variable here. So now what happens is, so this is the navigation stack, everything. So yeah, this is the whole entire view, this is the navigation stack, and we have this text buttons. So we have all this set up here, and in button action, so we have this sign-in request. So when you click on the action, so and we will wait for this to complete. So this is the completion handler we are sending into the view model. So whenever the view model is ready, So basically, with combine framework, it's basically based on the state. It's like whenever the state changes, you have to inform to the main caller or someone who is subscribing to it. So in this case, this closure acts as that. So I'm setting this closure. In this closure, I'm just changing the things whatever is needed. This is again a binded variable. So whatever is success or failure, I'm setting it here. And showing alert, so we want to show alert in case of failures. So I need a customized alert message. So this is what we are getting. If we don't get any error message, it's just unknown error. And these things we are sending it from the view model. So view model receives from this one. So this is perfectly fine for me right now. However, so the main intention of this project is to learn SwiftUI and combine, and for now, for SwiftUI specifically, we will go through this. Combine, we will take a look in the next this one. So we have this expense list where we have reads, refresh, and all those things. I'm not sure because most of the things are done. So I'll just show you. So this just comes back immediately saying username, password. So earlier it was like there was a bug, like we have to wait for the next click to happen. So now in this case, if I give correct credentials, it just logs in. So this is great. Okay. And this we have done earlier, so you can see my previous videos. This is cancelled, so everything is happening. So yeah, my target was to achieve the sign-in completion before this Friday. So yeah, this is good enough for now. So we have done a part of this. I'll just go ahead and commit this, get status. So all these changes are needed. Get add, sorry, my bad. Sign in using sign in flow with MVVM pattern. Okay, so finally the view is declarative here. In case of login also, the view is declarative based on these states. The view changes or puts up alert and everything. The way we are communicating is a traditional way. So yeah, this is pretty much it. Let's just push. So let's see. What is there? So we have finished login API integration. So this was pending. So this is not here. So this is done, and this is not this week, this is when I was experimenting with Basecamp. Now it's all haywire. So I realized there are so many things which I need to learn, so I'll just put it in the backlogs. Now that we know so I have these plans. So for so the plan is like for non-paid users, that is free users, will give a local storage option. For authenticated users, we will give this like for paid or subscribed users, we will give cloud storage, and we will give on multiple devices. Add, edit, delete. So fetch logs and populate the front end. Okay, this is stretch goal, common loading screen, and this one. So this week, let's just put this here, fetch logs and populate the front end. Right now we have this dummy data, so we won't be having this dummy data. We'll fetch it. Okay, and next week, let's see if we do this, and these things will be easy, so it's pretty common. So okay, we need one more thing. Store auth details for further API, further network calls. Authenticated requests. So this would be the primary thing. Store user ID, token, and expires locally. Secure format. One point here to remember is expires in the value expires in is in minutes or seconds. Cross check whether the value expires in minutes or seconds, and calculate the time interval before storing. Locally. So advantage of this would be like if I say 1 hour expires in 1 hour 60 minutes from now, so what that would do is I will calculate from now till 60 minutes. I'll store that particular date so that I don't have to wait for the network to fail. I'll just see this, and if it is expired, if the time is crossed, then it's automatically expired. So yeah, this is a simple backlog I have. So common loading screen, should I do it? Actually this is a web. Yeah, these are all web stories, web front end. I think even this is web front end. So these things are not done, and I should have marked iOS. Yeah, it's marked here, so I'm very inconsistent in marking this. So yeah, we know we know that I'm working on this, but yeah, I have to be consistent. Okay, so done. Just for the sake of tracking, let's keep this. iOS. So my end goal would be to the main thing with SwiftUI was to support macOS also, along with iOS and iPadOS. So I think pretty much target is to complete this. So today is what, 15th of July, so we have 16 more days to complete the iOS app, at least to come in parity with the web. So once that is done, there is no customization or custom animation or something. We are using just the basic UI, whatever is given, provided by Apple. Just the color and the font changes if needed. So target to finish the MVP of iOS by July end, along with learning. So I have some SwiftUI courses signed up, so yeah, we'll be going through that too. So yeah, we are pretty much here. So I think today's was a short stream. So just to sum up, so initially the app loads. This is the view, and it depends on this flag whether it's logged in or not. So this I have to convert it into environment object, where it sees where it will tell whether user login is valid or not. So for now it's just this flag. If it's logged in, so it will take you to the expense list view. If it is not logged in, it will take you to the login view. And so I did that shortcut just to test this out, test the whole MVVM flow. So now that we have this sign-in request, sign-in view model, and the login view interacting between them in the way I needed, I can just plug and play it anywhere. So yeah, so on button action, sign in will be called. So it goes to view model, it makes a sign in request, and in request this is URL data task. Once it brings in the value, I'm setting various response and errors here, and the sign in result, I'm propagating the sign in result through the completion handler. So view model can actually see what is the result and call the login views completion handler. So comes here, sets the values, and based on this state of this, alert is shown or the binded value is set. And then here, if it's success, then expense list view is propagated. Just for the sake of experiment, if I turn this into true, I should directly load expense list view. Yep. So if I make it false, it should load the login. Okay, now the next task would be storing the values. Okay, so store authenticated user, sign in response, fetch authenticated user. So once we get this, we are storing this. So why are we storing? Okay, this is basically a model. So as of now, I'm just adding it in this one because it's very small. We can pull this out as this grows. Okay, should I store this in core data or should I store this as user defaults? Because as far as I know, even user defaults is encrypted. Yes, user defaults are encrypted. Core data, because it stores values. Okay, when it comes to Mac, core data is not encrypted in Mac, even group containers, because I am a Mac developer, I know, and during debug I can actually go into the SQLite file and open it up. Only in iOS you cannot access. So in macOS, user defaults is encrypted. iOS, however, you can't. So other thing is we can store the tokens. The right place is to store the tokens in the keychain. So now the question is, yeah, the right place is to store in the keychain. And the question here is options. Core data accessible by group of apps. This is the first option. Second option is user defaults. Can be read by user or hacker on macOS. Okay, user defaults encrypted even on macOS. Okay, now another third option is storing keychain. This can be read by user. Store this in keychain. Possible for user to read, at least on macOS. So user doesn't need to know the token. First of all, he just needs to know the username and the password. So none of these three is needed by the user. Let's just check. iOS. Okay, let's just check. User defaults encrypted. No, not this one. Why doesn't Apple Docs come at the top? key value pairs persistent launches of the apps. Okay. What about encryption? No. Sensitive data and user default storage is not encrypted. Okay, so my assumption was wrong, that user defaults is not encrypted. This storage is not encrypted at all. So if an app other than your own obtains access to the user default store, the user's data is compromised. So Keychain is the only, the third storage is Keychain. This is the place where, okay, first let's just, without any custom encryption, this storage is very insecure. Apple encrypts devices when they are locked, but as soon as the device is unlocked, yes, okay, this is good. This is a place where iOS stores all kind of sensitive password certificates. If you have secure data, Keychain is the place. So we need to import Keychain access. Are there not? So this is a good blog. So instead of Keychain access, can I directly store? Let's see what. I don't have authentication policy and all this stuff. I just need the APIs. Okay, these are all cool. I have worked with this. Set shared password, generate password. Okay, this has a lot of other implementations. So this is a overhead for my app. So they have certificates, configurations, Keychain access. Okay. We have example. Let's see. They are doing accounts view controller. So thing is, I don't need any of this. I need simple keychain APIs where I store the data. So let's check here itself. Keychain programming guide. Apple search is very bad. Embed confidential information in the items that you store in the keychain. Start search using sec item copy matching. Add network credentials to the keychain on behalf of the user. This is awesome. Use keychain to enable simple. Define a structure to hold the credentials as they move around your app in memory. Okay, so we have the sign-in response. Next, define an error enumeration that you can use to communicate keychain access outcomes. Okay, got this. Then identify the server that your app is working with. Okay, create and add query. Okay, query is basically a dictionary. Yeah, that's fine. So this is UTF-8 encoded. So sensitive data are UTF-8 encoded. Is this Objective C or Swift? This is Swift. Okay. Feed it. This is fine. This is fine. If you do not want to return data, keep in mind set item and function behaves much like this record. Okay. So this is good. So for us, this can be a user ID. This can be the server. Why do we need this? Okay, we have keys and values. Item class. So item attributes. So these are the attributes, I think, and this is the class. Yeah, set class. So generic password. Yeah. So we need to tell whether it's a user identity or a key, private key, public key, or whether this certificate password or a generic password, what it is. Then item attribute keys and values. Okay, every class has its own set of attributes. Protocols. Okay, good. You cannot have custom things here, right? Or everything we need to store it in the form of data. Put it in a JSON and JSON structure and store it as a data, or a dictionary and store it as a data. Okay, so this is how we are going to store now. So it wouldn't be core data, because once you unlock database values can be read. User defaults not at all encrypted, so I must have seen some encrypted plist file or something, and I assume that that's a user default. I'm completely wrong. So this is secure. We can actually control the access to the keychain items. So with this, we will just, instead of core data, just store it in keychain. Fetch from keychain. Why don't we try this right now? We have this. this now. And then we can have this. Okay, great. Status is OS status. There is a function which actually converts the OS status into the string description. Let me check. OS. This is OS status. I've seen it somewhere, I have used it, but I cannot remember it. So this is Mac. I've convert an iPhone OS status to something useful. So there was one API string. No. Create string. So the status okay, let me check in my other projects. There was some API where so I had used it. Keychain. Yeah, set copy error message string as string. Okay, so we need to do the sec copy error message string and pass the status to it, and this is null, and this actually returns CF string, so we need to make it as a string. And then provide a backup message. So this looks fine. So this actually converts Okay, this actually converts it to the string, and then if it is not available, then it's just means this. Okay, looks cool. uh, Variable was never mutated. Okay, and so we are storing this, no problem. Then we will use the sign in response here. So here it's successful, and we will just store it here. Try, because it throws. Yep. Okay, so this looks good. So next is fetching this. So we need to fetch from the keychain, and we need to check where should we do a check. We'll do a check here in sign in request, or we'll do it in sign in view model. So I think sign in view model is the better one. So or we should so the name should be something like rename this to user credentials, or logged in user credentials. Then I can store this. I can have is user auth valid. So I can question this. I can say get auth token. So all these is okay. We can make this a class. Tomorrow we can sit on this. We can make this as a class. Is user auth valid, is get auth token, get expiry, is auth expired. So all these things we can actually put this. So first thing is we need to rename this into user credentials. So and then we can change this here and everywhere, basically wherever it is used to sign in result. Okay, so we have things tomorrow to refactor. First is, so storing implementation is done. We need to test whether it is stored or not, and that can be done using fetching this. Store authenticated user creds, Okay, good. So today we had some progress on this. So we finished our sign-in flow, and now we need to store this. So that is the next part. So tomorrow we will plan to finish this and this part. So tomorrow entire thing would be mostly storing it in the keychain. So we will not use keychain access or any third party, because there are a lot of overheads on it, and my app doesn't need it. My app just wants to store these things. Okay, cool. Rethink if this is needed. I think server is needed because whenever you go into the site and you want to auto populate the password, for that it takes, and it is there for internet password only, if I'm not wrong. Password attribute, this is general. Server is there for this. I don't know whether server is there for, I don't think server is there for this general attribute. No, only for the password attribute it's there. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So to auto populate things, so we might not need this server thing. So what we will do is, instead of server, we can make use of something else. Okay, so we can make use of this. Okay, secure attribute generic. Generic will have X person, so this is great. So we'll have account user ID, we'll have token encrypted, like token stored in the data format, and then we'll have generic this one. Awesome, this looks good. Okay, I'm stopping the stream now, so let's catch up tomorrow for keychain access. Thanks folks.